And CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Major Garrett joins me now from Washington. Actually, Major, I want to get to your title in just a moment, but let's begin with this multi-front battle that the president-elect has picked again just days from an inauguration. The feud with the intelligence community continues, but now he's also found himself in a spat rife with symbolism, if nothing else, with not just one of the most respected lawmakers on Capitol Hill, but one of the most respected lawmakers on Capitol Hill here on Martin Luther King Day. What does it all mean?
Well, let's just talk about the intelligence community briefly. So the Senate Intelligence Committee has reversed itself and decided on Friday that it will investigate, after suggesting it might not, whether or not there were any nefarious contacts between Russian officials, the Trump campaign, how extensive and relevant was this Russian hacking into the 2016 election. That now gives this bipartisan legitimacy. It puts a Republican. Senate Republicans run that chamber, and by definition, the intelligence community, it's a bipartisan committee. But nevertheless, this does give real legislative legitimacy to a question that Democrats believe needs to be probed more deeply, and now Republicans do as well. And that's something this incoming Trump administration is going to have to deal with and cannot simply dismiss as a partisan witch hunt, which has been part of the thematic and rhetorical response from President-elect Trump. That's one part of your question, Josh. With John Lewis, Congressman from Georgia, look, the Trump transition team believes John Lewis got this started. No one told John Lewis to say out loud to NBC what he did, which is, I don't believe this is legitimate presidency. I believe the Russians manipulated this election and helped destroy Hillary Clinton, and that made Donald Trump president-elect. The Trump transition team said, wait a minute, you don't have to do that. And now that you've attacked us, we are not going to treat you as anything other than a partisan. And look, Trump's orientation of these issues is pretty simple. You attack him, he's going to attack back, even if you have a stature that is almost second to none within the halls of Congress that John Lewis has because of his history as a freedom marcher and an advocate and successful one for voting rights and then civil rights as defined in the struggle over both those issues in the 1960s. Trump's going to treat you like a partisan. He's even going to get wrong what your congressional district is like and essentially accuse you in your present life, not your previous life nevertheless, but your present life of being all talk and no action. Now, that does inflame the African-American community. Even some Republicans are a little uneasy about this, but this is the Trump response. This is Trump's intense reaction to criticism, especially about the legitimacy of his election. He doesn't tend to back down. And the great question for all Americans, Republicans, Democrats, is does this continue in the White House, and does the country find itself at some level temperamentally and maybe psychologically exhausted by endless feuds that President-elect Trump has not shied away from and may not shy away from as president? We'll have to see.
And one wonders if the irony is lost on all of Donald Trump questioning the legitimacy of a president. I do want to turn, Major, to the news surrounding health care as well today. In an interview with Washington Post, Donald Trump promising, and I quote, insurance for everybody to replace the Affordable Care Act. What to make?
So insurance for everyone, what does that mean? Does that mean an insurance policy for everyone, or does that mean everyone has the right to find an insurance policy if they so choose to purchase one? Do you get rid of the Affordable Care Act mandate that you have to purchase insurance? That's one of the reasons that these health insurance marketplaces were built under the Affordable Care Act, to take people who have to buy insurance or face a tax penalty. Now, for a long, long time, Josh, Republicans, particularly free market conservatives, have said three things about health care in America. One, reimbursement rates for Medicaid and Medicare are too bureaucratic, meaning they're too costly. If this administration does dramatically reduce reimbursement rates, save money there, there's going to be extra money left over to finance something. President-elect Trump also made quite a significant rhetorical joust toward reducing the subsidies or the reimbursements for pharmaceutical companies. You can drive down costs that way. And you can also allow more competition by allowing insurance companies to sell policies across state lines and provide catastrophic insurance while people take care of their day-to-day health care costs through medical savings accounts. The free market conservative orientation for 20 years or more on health care is if you put all those things together, drive down reimbursement rates, make sure the drug companies don't profit as much, provide more competition, and allow people to have medical savings accounts, you can achieve all sorts of wonderful things through American health care. That's an experiment we have not tried in this country. And what it sounds like to me is this president-elect is moving in that direction. But we've seen no details. And when he says we have a plan, the president-elect says we have a plan on immigration. It's like 7 bullet points. That may be what he means, literally. He might just mean 7 bullet points, not legislative language. We're going to have to see how he defines a plan. But if you're asking yourself, what have conservatives of the free market type described when they look at American health care, what I've just described is what they've most wanted to try. We haven't tried it yet. We have tried the Affordable Care Act. We've tried Medicare. We've tried Medicaid. We may try this brand new, purely free market enterprise toward providing access, not necessarily a guaranteed health insurance policy for every American. And that may be what the president-elect is actually talking about.
15 seconds or fewer, Major. You're the chief White House correspondent for CBS News. It speaks to not just that which you cover, but where you go to work. Will you still be going to work there under a Trump presidency?
I would not be surprised if they moved us out. I really do think there is something about the Trump administration and those closest to him who want the symbolism of driving reporters out of the White House, moving the elites farther away from this president. And if they do so, we'll still cover him. The White House press corps won't go away. You can shove us a block away, 2 blocks away, a mile away. We will be on top of this White House, as we've been on top of every White House, doing our best on behalf of the First Amendment and the country we serve.
Major Garrett in Washington. Here. We appreciate it, pal.
You got it.